Good evening. Welcome to Dare to Share with Mistie Layne. I am your host, Mistie Layne. I am the best-selling author, award-winning speaker, and also the founder of the movement, #BeThatOne. What is Be That One? You may be asking. Be That One about what? Well, let me share with you. And while I do that, I'm going to ask that you share this out with your friends as well so that they can hear what we have to say that just might be something to motivate them and give them strength and courage to stand up so they can be that one. Be that one. Stand up. Share your raw, authentic truth. Be transparent so that you can educate each other with your real life stories. And you don't have to measure your story to someone else. It's just about what you've been through and not wasting that pain, teaching someone else so that they can do it better. And that way we can learn to judge less and mentor more. Dare to Share is the platform where I invite you to step up to be that one and share your raw, authentic truth. And if you'd like to be a guest on the Dare to Share show, all you have to do is type the word guest and email me, mistielayne@mistielayne.com. We have a great guest, an amazing guest. Michelle Mears here with us tonight. I don't know a whole lot about her story, but I'm going to dig in deep tonight. She's going to share with us. I can tell you she's extremely successful. She's been there, lost it, and been there again. So she knows all the ins and outs. She has a successful business called Decisive Minds. She also has a TV show, Mind Your Own Business. So we are going to welcome her into the show, Miss Michelle Mears.
Hey,
Hi, Michelle.
how are you?
I'm awesome. How are you?
Oh, fantastic. Glad to be here.
Thank you for being here. I really appreciate it. All right, Michelle, we're gonna start the show off like we always do by having you get 2 or 3 minutes to just shine bright. Tell us all about the things you're most proud of, your biggest accomplishments, because we all know that life isn't always about cupcakes, unicorns, and rainbows. So somewhere along the line, there was some adversity and you learned some real hard knock life lessons. So we're going to start with the good stuff. Then we're going to back it on down and talk about that. And then we're going to end with all the mind-blowing, amazing things you're doing today.
All right. Very good. Well, let's see. So what am I most proud of? As a mom, I guess I'll start there. So 2 amazing kids. Along the way, I never had the big issue with my kids because I understood personalities and things like that. I had learned that in some of my previous positions. And so I really had raised 2 amazing kids who are now both married to wonderful people. And they both each have a daughter. And so I have 2 grandbabies and I'm just loving that. That. So
what do they call you?
They call me Mimi.
Mimi?
Yes.
Mine call me Mimsy.
Yes. So I don't know if you guys know, I live in Lake Charles and we were just hit by Hurricane Laura. And so both of their houses are in really bad shape. So everyone's living at my house right now. So last night I heard it was Mimi, 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 Mimi. I'm like, okay, I'm loving this. So yeah, so have them all at the house. Other than that, I am all about business. I am just like entrepreneur to the core, serial entrepreneur is what you would call me. And I grew up in family businesses. So I learned everything, by my dad and my grandfather. We had a grocery store, a mobile home park, a record service, a trucking company. If we thought we could make a dime, we did it. And I learned amazing things. And along the way, I watched them fall down and there were plenty of times when we lost things and failed and then turned around and succeeded. And I just learned so much. And so then in 2007, we sold that company and my entire family retired. We sold the trucking company and the grocery store in the same year. And then I got bored, couldn't figure out what to do. And I decided to start Decisive Minds about 2 years later. Now it's 10 years old. And, I travel, I speak, well, not right now, I guess, but, that's what I've been doing for 10 years, working with business owners and teaching them everything I know about building their businesses. And I just love it. Love it.
Awesome. So you're really proud of the Decisive Minds success that you've created, correct?
Yeah. Yes.
Awesome. I have to say, I can relate to that growing up around entrepreneurial family. My dad, he didn't even graduate from high school, but he was so intelligent. He made a way for himself. And back in the day, it was a little bit harder than it is, now. But he
Absolutely.
started an air conditioning business. We had trailer parks. He opened a Mexican food restaurant in a town where you couldn't have any alcohol in Vidor, Texas. And
Oh
it was
my goodness.
successful. I mean, my dad just kind of did a little bit of everything. And so I get that. I think I get that from him, actually.
Yeah, that's awesome.
All right,
Yeah.
Michelle, we're gonna welcome our viewers real quick. We got several of them online here. Miss Janice says, hello, friends. Robert Brooker, all the way from Canada. Hey, Robert, one of my faithfuls. Hi, Misty and Jana. Linda Campbell, welcome to the show, Linda. Hi, Carol. Thank you for being here, Carol. So happy to have you. You're going to love Michelle. She's a go-getter just like you, Carol. All right, let's see who else we got on here. Melissa Osborne, thank you. Welcome to the show, Melissa. Amy, love my Amy. Hello, Amy. Thank you. And yes, happy birthday, Dr. V. I see your profile picture there, Amy. It is his birthday today. Dr. Vong, Dr. Doug Vong. Well, happy birthday. All right, so let's go ahead and get back into your story. So let's go back to your childhood. So you watched your family grow up with these very highly successful businesses. Did you think growing up, say, oh, hi, Sam Wilson. Nice to be here, Sam. Thank you for joining. Michelle, did you grow up as a teenager thinking, I'm going to be just like them? Or did you grow up thinking, I'm going to take over the business? Or did you have some totally separate dream of theirs?
Yeah, so I would say a lot of just like them and taking over the business. That was always like literally, guys. I mean, I learned how to crawl in the grocery store. I always tell people that I was born into a family that had kids to guarantee they have employees. Right? Because we worked. The bus dropped us off at the grocery store after school. I mean, we worked every day. And I loved it. I made it, it's funny. There were times like, I remember the first time someone tipped me money for bagging their groceries. I was like 7 or 8 years old. And I went back to my dad because he was paying me to work in the grocery store. He paid me in toys. And I went and negotiated my contract with him. So I started making like $1 an hour, and I had $6,000 by the time I was 13. So,
oh my gosh!
Yeah, I worked.
You had to save money too.
And that's right. I didn't have to spend it. I saved it. And so, yeah. Then he made the mistake of saying he would match whatever I could save to buy my first car. I got a really nice first car.
Yeah.
So,
awesome.
Yeah. No, that was. I wanted to. My dad, my grandfather, brilliant businessman, self-made, because like your dad, right? My grandfather did not finish high school. My dad barely. He used to say all the time, if it wasn't for your mother, I would have never got out of high school. So, but both brilliant men. And I just really learned so much about falling down and getting back up. Right.
So you knew you were going to stay in their footsteps and keep the family business going, right?
That was absolutely
what you wanted to do. So tell us about that. Tell us about when you become old enough to start taking over that business. What was that like? Did you go to business school first? I did.
I went to school, got an accounting degree because and never really to be an accountant. But my father said to me one day, look, those who know the numbers can build any business they want to build. And so it was just really natural for me to go get an accounting degree to do that. And my dad, I was probably my early 20s, mid 20s, when he started this conversation of, I'm going to retire in 5 years and it will be y'all's, me and my brother. That's the y'all. And that 5 years went on for like 20, it never quite got there. And I will say this, we never had the thought that we were going to sell the company. I was never something we thought about because we were a family that just kind of goes generation after generation transferring the business. And so one day it kind of got planted that maybe we could sell it. And so things changed, we sold the company.
So tell us, so you sold it.
We did. Yeah. That was a big learning process. Actually, it's one of the things I do with my clients is I have a lot of people come to me and maybe in their 50s and they're thinking, I want to sell in the next 5 years. And there's really a lot of stuff I learned in that process. It took us, the first person that showed up that kind of planted the seed and offered us a lot of money disappeared, like cold turkey disappeared off the planet.
Wow.
In the middle of the process. And so then we took about 2 more years and we really honed the business to make it worth more. I learned what it was that would add value to it from a buyer's perspective. And
Oh, there
so,
you go.
yeah, so we took that, we went through 2 more years of that and found the right buyers and sold that company. My brother and I stayed on as consultants for, 6, 8 months. They paid us as consultants. And then we moved on and we both built other businesses. So, and we
Well,
still have some family businesses. So
yeah.
we still do that.
Well, let's go back because this show is all about overcoming your worst to live your best. This show, Dare to Share, is tapping into your emotions, being vulnerable for the audience so that they can hear all the things that maybe didn't go so right at the beginning of this journey.
Yeah.
I know that at one point you said the bank was coming after you for $1.5 million. You want to share
Yes.
with us and
Oh,
explain
yeah,
that
that's,
to us? Because everything wasn't great. I'm sure there
no,
were ebbs and tides, right? So
that's
explain that.
exactly right. Every business goes through that scenario, right? If you're in business any length of time. So what happened to us was back in the late 80s, early 90s, we were in the trucking business and we were hauling oil field equipment. And the
Okay.
oil field went just like belly up in Louisiana. And
Yeah.
so it was bad. It was really bad. And we did everything we had to do to stay alive, right? We let the drivers go, and my dad and my brother were driving trucks. And, we were cutting back on equipment, selling what we could, keeping what we had to. Those were the nights where we were, all three of us, out there working on trucks late at night so they would run the next day. It was crazy. And so I was in the office, and, as always, my job was operational. And so, the phone rings one day and I hear the banker's voice say, "Hey, Michelle, are you and your dad in your office?" And the banker never showed up. It's one of those moments where I'm like, oh my God, what's this conversation? And so he shows up and he says, "Listen, guys, it's not me, but my bosses think y'all don't have a valid business anymore. And we kind of need our money back. So we need our $1.5 million. And that'll take the wind out of your sails."
Well, yeah.
But, I learned even more in that moment, because when do you learn the lessons, right? You learn the lessons in those moments. And I watched my father at the time just like turn it on. He went out looking for, is there another bank? Well, nobody would touch us, right? Because everything was so bad. We restructured some things, but, and it was interesting because people kept saying, "Just file bankruptcy, Johnny, you'll be out of it." And my dad's like, "Nope, we borrowed that money. We're going to pay it back somehow." And what ended up happening was the federal government, we weren't the only people in trouble at the time, right? And so the federal government came out with some loan restructuring and guarantees, and they guaranteed that bank if they would keep our loan.
Oh, wow.
And so, yeah, so we were given 5 years interest only, almost zero interest, which was fantastic. It was all being subsidized by the government. We were able to turn it around. We paid that loan off, and we ended up selling that company 10 years later for a very large amount of money.
I'm going to say it. Didn't you say it was $9 million?
Yeah, $9 million. $9 million.
Amazing. So the lesson in that story, is the lesson there not to trust people, or is the lesson there learn to pivot and move when things don't go the way they're supposed to?
Yeah, I think the lessons more to learn to pivot and move. We saw there were a lot of people who couldn't pivot and went under. Some very long-term family friends who when Lake Charles is a small town. If you guys don't know where it is, we're like 30 minutes from the Texas border. There's population 70,000. So when you have significant businesses in areas like that, you kind of know each other. And a lot of our friends, went under and didn't make it. And so as a family and a family business, we were really good at that, because we were very clear on who did what really well. And so, I am killer in operations. Just like that is my thing. And my dad could sell and talk and sell anybody, right? And my brother's kind of way. And so we really stayed in our lanes and said, "Hey, let's focus on what we each do best and let's fix it." And we did. So
Wow, that's good, and it's important because I think it really relates to the times with this pandemic. There's so many businesses. I mean, I for one have a Right to Ignite Women's Empowerment Retreat that was all set to launch this summer.
yeah.
So excited about it. And with COVID, it's changed everything. So there's so many businesses out there that are struggling. Maybe they don't know how to pivot. Maybe they don't even understand a different niche they can get into or how to market that. And I'm sure you'd be awesome at helping them discover that. And your business is called Decisive Minds. Is that correct?
Yeah, yes, it is, and it's called that. Number, I'll tell you the story real quick if you want. I
Okay.
literally was given that in a dream. I woke up in the morning. I'm like, God said, "If Decisive Minds is the name of it," and so I thought, well, you know what? If I get up and that URL is available, that's the name of my new company. And sure enough, it was available. For me, that is the word that describes me. I am very decisive. I will make a decision, and most people hire me so that I make decisions for them.
Yeah.
Um, because I'm all about make the decision and move on. I think that's why I succeed as fast as I do. Do I always make right decisions? Absolutely not. But what I do is I make the decision right after the fact,
I
right?
mean,
So whatever I
you
have to do.
you look like a power player. You do.
Thank
You have that I'm going to come in and it's black or white. There's no gray in the middle. It either is or it isn't. We're going to do it. You just
Yeah,
have
we're going to
that.
make a decision, stick to it, and move forward. I think that's one of the problems that most people really struggle with is they make that decision and they second guess and they change and they do this and they see someone doing that and they do that. Right? No, 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 no. I keep bringing back people back to center. Let's stay on the yellow brick road, people.
My
So,
problem is I procrastinate waiting
ah,
for perfection. I wanted,
yeah,
when I
bad.
started this show, I wanted all the graphics just right. I wanted the theme just right, the music. And it's like, it took me a year. And finally, Don Fawcett, he's like, just do it already. Just throw it out there. It doesn't need to be perfect. People are going to love you more watching you grow.
Yeah, yeah.
Let them learn from you making mistakes.
They
So
they love to point it out too. And what happens when people point out your mistakes? That means they're paying attention to you.
pay attention.
So I
Right.
can't tell you how many times I make mistakes. People love to point it out, but I love to point out that they're paying attention to me.
Right.
So it's all good.
Well, this is all really great. It's beautiful. You look like a powerhouse. You've got a great business going, but let's roll it. Let's dial it back because I know that wasn't always who you were. You were quite shy, weren't you?
Extremely. Still to this day, but I've learned how to use that for positive instead of it being the hideout that it was before. So yeah, shy and introverted. Oh my God, am I introverted? So
Share that with us. Share a little bit about what that's been like for you, especially in a business world when you have to be face to face with people and how you've overcome that.
yeah, with Decisive Minds, really, I thought I'm going to build this business online coaching. I don't have to go meet people. I don't have to network. I don't have to do any of that. They're going to come to me because I just sold this business and made all this money. So they're just going to hire me. And I really believed that in the beginning. And 12 months in to building this business, I started January 2010. Well, so January 2011, every January, we would sit down as a family and we would report on every business we had, whether it was the family's business or our individual businesses. And that first year in Decisive Minds, it was bad. It was bad. I spent a lot of money doing the graphics and all of that stuff and had almost no clients. So I lost a lot of money that first year. And I'll never forget sitting at that table with my dad saying, I don't think that's a real business. You shouldn't do that anymore. And I thought, okay, I'm going to change it. I don't care what I've got to do to change it. And what I had to do was I had to get out from behind the computer. I had to go start networking, go start speaking. So, I learned that as the introvert, so I learned how to get around things. Number one, I have friends who just they talk to everybody in the room. And so when I network, I make sure one of those people are with me. And they bring people to talk to me every time. Like on the TV show, my co-host is Bellany Deshawn, and I met Bellany back in 2000 at the end of 2010, and she just thinks I hung the moon because I tripled the size of her business in 2 years, and so everywhere we go, she's an extrovert. She goes and meets everybody, and then she brings them to me and says, "Oh my God, you've got to know Michelle," right? Yeah. So every introvert needs that extrovert to travel with them and do that kind of stuff. And then the other thing is, like I knew I had to get on stage. I knew I had to start speaking to really get people's attention. So I do the 20 seconds of courage. Like it's terrifying to walk up onto the stage, but once I'm up there, I'm good, right? So now I've been speaking for 10 years. The biggest audience I ever spoke to was 900 people. Like if I had thought about that even 15 years ago, I think I would have had a coronary. Now I can do it. So
didn't you speak at Harvard? I think at Harvard.
I did speak at Harvard. I spoke at Harvard Business School. Yeah.
Is that it right there?
That was it right there. That's it. So yeah, that was interesting. And oh my God, I have really spoken at some amazing places now, and in front of a lot of really great people too, by the way. So yeah, look at all those magazines. I know it's crazy. It's crazy to look back at the last 10 years and see all of the stuff that I've accomplished. So that actually is a picture from my own events. I started doing my own 3-day events where I was teaching on stage for 3 days. I did those for 7 years. And then
what was the name of that?
That was Take Action, Get Profits.
Okay. Yeah. So you're not doing that anymore?
Not doing that. I stopped 2 years ago, I guess, so as entrepreneurs, we kind of go through phases, and I did it for 7 years, and I'm like, okay, let's move on. We'll do something different for a while. And I'll probably go back to it. I loved it. I really did love it. I love teaching. I love educating. I want entrepreneurs to be successful.
I do too. So I'm gonna have to hit you up to help me with mine then, because when I'm revisiting launching my women, empower Right to Ignite, because mine's all about writing, women's empowerment retreats. I'm looking at January, hoping that everything's opened up enough for people to travel to, because it's definitely going to be an intimate setting. But anyway, you've been through a lot. It sounds like you've gone full circle around though and come back up. But I want you to share vulnerabilities along the way. Like looking back, things that might have hurt you. I know that a lot of people in this industry have trust issues. I know the very first person I hired to help me get my book out burned me, and I lost $5,000. And my mentor, Jason Cisneros, says, well, you're lucky that's all you lost, because that's pretty cheap. That was a pretty cheap lesson for you, and he taught me, do your due diligence, call on references for everybody. I don't care who referred who, you do your own calling and you check the references and all this.
Right.
So I know that people get hurt along the way, and there's a lot of, it seems to be trust issues. So share with us throughout your show, throughout your workshops, throughout all the things that you do, what are some of the vulnerabilities that you look back on that really sadden you and or maybe even have hurt you, or, given you a complex, a self-esteem, or whatever it is?
Yeah. Wow. So, I think there's a couple of things that kind of just stick out for me. One of them is that in the type of industry I'm in, coaching in general it gets a bad rap sometimes. And so for me, you said earlier that I'm like a power player, right? And I always stand in that power. And so I had a couple of people hire me, one in particular who was not, she just didn't do what I told her to do, plain and simple. That's what it was. I mean, if you do what I tell you to do, it's going to work, right? And so she didn't. And she just decided that I was Satan or something, man. She called me every name in the book and rode me up one side and down the other and called me a scam artist. I mean, I've never had that occur. And I think as someone who really holds myself in delivery, meaning if you're going to hire me, you're going to get results. I mean, I hold myself to that. It's a partnership. It's not just like, I don't just fly in and do and fly out. Right.
Right.
Man, that hurt so bad. And I didn't want anybody to know. Right. I'm supposed to be this powerhouse. How could I have failed her? It was huge. I've had a mindset coach for 9 years, and we had to work hard on this one. Right. For me to get past the hatred. That woman Like, she called me stuff I ain't never heard before. And, that was tough. That was really tough. And I was probably 4 years into this business, and I seriously thought about completely quitting and walking away.
Wow.
For over one client who wasn't happy with me.
That's crazy.
That's pretty crazy. And I'm glad I didn't walk away. And then I'll say this, I watched the coaching industry that I was involved in go skyrocket high and then fall completely apart. And it fell apart because anybody and their brother can call themselves a coach.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And so there were a lot of people out there who were taking people's money and not delivering their services. And so it's been an interesting ride for sure.
It's going to be hard though, because like you said, you took this client on and you have expectations for that client to succeed, because you know that the value you're giving her the blueprint to success. You know that. But then there's so many of us that are guilty, and me too, guilty of paying money and hiring someone and not putting the work in. It's almost sometimes we just want them to do it for us, and expect it just to crystal ball materialize. So I'm so glad you didn't blame yourself for that. I'm so glad you didn't internalize that to the point where it made you quit, and that you've learned from it, because I think it happens a lot, actually. I really do. And it's sad. It's sad because and
I've hired coaches for my business to do things with me, and gotten down the road and went, okay, that was a little waste of money. I mean, there are people who are not delivering what they're supposed to be delivering. That's a fact. But look and see if you put in your part to make sure that you did what it was that you should be doing. So
that's right.
We all have those hurdles. So what's interesting is, in all of those years, I was 40 when we sold the family business. So I worked for the family business for 40 years, right? But I worked internal and operations and all of that. And part of my job was to keep clients happy. That was always part of my job. But my dad and my brother really took the brunt of that. They did all the sales, and they did, that part was theirs. That was a huge, huge learning for me with Decisive Minds.
Because you were shy.
That's exactly right. And so here I am, all of a sudden, I didn't have them to do the selling for me. And never dawned on me when I was starting this company that I was going to have those skills. Yeah. And so, that was a big, I always saw sales as a winner and a loser. Okay. So I had a hard time with that in the beginning. I really did.
Yeah. Well, it is kind of cut and dry with sales. Either you get the sale or you don't. I mean, right? Yeah. It is kind of that way.
Yeah, but it can be a win-win. And it really took me a while to get to that point, to realize that it could be a win-win all the way around. It wasn't a winner and a loser. So, yeah.
All right. Well, looking back, because we're halfway through the show, this is the part where I like to really tap into your emotions and have you get vulnerable for the audience, because we're here to learn from you. So looking back over everything, I want you to think about a moment in time that it can be anything. Michelle, don't even have to be business. It could be personal related, just a vulnerable moment in your life, either something you've been ashamed of, something that maybe you've never told anyone, just any kind of vulnerability that you're daring to share tonight with our guests, so that you can bring us more value and teach us and show us how that can pivot your life and how you grew from that. We're going to take a commercial break to recognize our sponsors. When we come back, I'm going to ask you to share that. And then we're going to just talk about all the wonderful things you have going on and how you've been able to come up from that time in your life. Okay?
Awesome. Thank you.
All right. We'll be right back. Today's show is sponsored by Simple Changes from Wanda Reynolds. Make a simple change today for a healthier tomorrow with products like Simply Satisfy, which aids in gut digestion and curbs your appetite. Mental wellness is directly related to gut health, so keep a happy gut with Simply Satisfy. Then there's Simply Soothe. It helps relax your sore muscles and it supports your overall joint health. Simply Start is made from 100% organic hemp oil. It promotes your calmness, supports sleep, and maintains healthy joints. Contact Wanda Reynolds today through Facebook Messenger or at scdso.com/live life wonderfully. Health provides simple solutions to whole body health. To get and stay healthy, we offer Somaderm HGH Gel. Would you like to sleep like a baby and wake up rested? Do you want to feel maximum benefits from physical exercise? Do you want to burn through that afternoon slump with energy to last well into the night? Well, you can. And you may also experience 25 other whole body improvements with the gel. It's effective, safe, FDA registered, and very affordable. Diane has immuno boosters and keto support products too. Contact Diane Chasik at lifesmilehealth.com or text lifestyle to 64600 today. All right, Michelle, I'm going to ask you to go ahead and share, and then we have a couple of questions from our audience. I'm going to have you address those as well.
I saw that. Very good. Awesome. So your question was something very vulnerable, right? I think that for me, so in 2004, actually June 25th of 2004, I remember it vividly, 26, actually, don't even know my birthday. On my birthday in 2004, we were supposed to be going to dinner, and so my phone rings, and it's my mother. I'm expecting the conversation of, where do you want to have dinner for your birthday? And what I hear is, instead, I hear, your father's on the floor. I can't get him up. I need you here now. So like 2 minutes later, I like fly to my parents' house, and my dad was on the floor. He had, so they had just built a new house, and he didn't like the way the plumbers plumbed the backyard. So he had been on his tractor. He had dug up some of the pipes. He jumped down from the tractor. He slipped in the mud and fell backwards and hit his head. He got up, went in the house. She made him a sandwich. He said his head hurt, laid down to take a nap. She left to pick up my birthday present. And when she returned, she found him on the floor. So what we didn't know was that he was bleeding. He was hemorrhaging in his brain. And so the ambulance got there, got him to the hospital. He survived the night because my dad was not going to die on my birthday. Yeah. And he died this morning.
Oh, so, I'm so sorry.
Yeah. But here's what was interesting, and I'm a daddy's girl, so that was not good. It makes my birthday, an interesting day right now, right? And so here's the lesson, though. I, as an introvert, as choosing to build the business that I built as a coach, I am not like, my clients are all over the world. Actually, for probably 9 years, I didn't even have a single client in Louisiana. Okay. Like, I travel and I speak everywhere, and I get clients from all over the world. And so we scheduled a funeral, and so I'm going to tell you two things about this. But the first one is that when the funeral actually occurs, I stood in the front of this funeral home by the casket for hours, people walking up to me saying, your dad got me my first job. Your dad helped me start my business. Your dad bought me a transmission. Your dad changed my tire. I mean, like, oh my God, people would, for like hours and hours and hours and hours. And I stood there in this, like, he was always my dad. So to me, he was bigger than life. Right. But this reality of the impact he had in life on so many people. And I stood there, like later, I was like, will that be me? Right? Like, will people come to my funeral and tell my kids that? And I don't, I built this business that's kind of got a wall because as an introvert, I really didn't that's not what I do. And it really started to shift and change the way I look at things. I actually do things in the community now, and I'm trying to get more known locally and deal with the whole introvert thing at the same time. So that's one of the things. The second thing about that is that at the same time, the couple of days before my dad died, another woman in town who owned a day spa passed away unexpectedly, like just seriously unexpected. I mean, like gone. And so she passed away 4 or 5 days before my father. So the day, dad passed away, the next day they tell us to come to the funeral home. We go to the funeral home. I leave the funeral home after making the plans, and I turn in front of her day spa, and there is a massive chain with a lock on it and a for sale sign on the door. And it dawned on me that my dad taught us how to build businesses, not jobs for ourselves, right? But businesses that can run without you. And so he passed away, and we had sold the trucking and the wrecker service, but we still had other family businesses. He passed away. Our businesses just continued. We still have them.
Yeah.
She passed away, and within 5 days, it was closed down and gone.
Yeah, that's a great lesson right there. A great lesson.
Mm-hmm. She'd been there 25 years. 25 years that place had been open, and it was gone because either she didn't teach someone else how to do it. She didn't create the systems for it to continue. It had to have her.
Yeah. That's one of the things I've learned too from my mentor. He's, especially around a nonprofit, is you want to get it up and going so that you can pass it down so that it stays forever, because it's about doing good for people. So, and I want to go back for just a minute to your number one thing, because I totally get that. Do you know Brad and Terry Childs?
I don't.
He owns the Ace Hardware there on 87 in Orange.
No.
I went to high school with him, and he went to high school with my older brother, but I'm best friends with his wife now. Mr. Childs passed away, and I was at their funeral Saturday. And I sat there, and I don't know if it's my age, I'm 53, or if what it is, but I sat there thinking that whole time we heard stories about, he built Ace Hardware from selling lumber in the back of his pickup truck. The business has been in existence for 50 years. And I heard stories about just, he's active in the Boy Scouts, active in the community. He did this, he did that. And I'm sitting there thinking the same thing you told yourself was, what are people going to say about me? Are people going to know who I am? Are people going to know what I stood for? Will anybody even care? So I went through that same thing. So I'm really glad to hear that you went through that at an earlier age and was able to start understanding it. So I'm going to start today, moving forward, saying what legacy, we have to think what legacy are we leaving behind? And
Absolutely.
we have to share in transparency so that we can teach others so that they can learn earlier in life, right? To start dictating their own life and build their legacy, because they're in control. Yeah. All right. Let's get to these questions. I'm so happy to have our audience asking questions and coming in. So Carol wants to know, how do you know when you find a good coach?
Very good. So let's start by what I look for, right? And I've hired a lot of coaches. I believe that coaches need coaches, right? We can't see our own stuff a lot of times. And so for me, I'm looking for, there are two types of coaches, right? There's the general coach who can kind of do everything. And then there's some very specific coaches. So I look at my business and say, is there something specific I need? Do I need a sales coach? Do I need a speaking coach? Do I need, what am I looking for? So number one, it's defining what is the result you want out of having the coach. Number two, for me, I'm looking at, is the coach further down the road? Has the coach accomplished the things I want to accomplish? Are they still relevant? Okay, because another thing we see in the coaching industry is, somebody's been there for 10, 20 years, and they're still doing things the way they were done in 2010 or 2000, and as we know, look at 2020, who would have ever thought it would be what it is, right? So we need to be, we want them to be relevant and current, and their business needs to be successful and still growing. When it comes to a business coach, I'll say this. Anybody and their brother, just because you were in the marketing department in some corporation does not make you a business coach. And so, personally, guys, I'm looking for someone who has owned businesses. Sold businesses is good too, right? There are very few of us that are business coaches or business consultants who have sold our businesses before. Right. So, I think that there should be ideas sparked. There should be strategies and tasks to be accomplished, and someone to hold your feet to the fire when you don't do it.
Absolutely.
Right. So I had a client one time, we had a coaching session, and afterwards she put on Facebook that she loved the way I kicked her in the butt with my velvet slippers. So No, I thought that was the best line.
Oh, yeah. All right, let's address Jana here. She says pandemic website for meeting a teacher, mentor, or personal friend, such as 2 times a week. Do you think this will be profitable? First of all, before you answer, let me just say to Jana, you have to be really careful throwing your ideas out on social media because people will just flat out steal them from you. I'm just saying. I love you, friend. Just be careful with that. But go ahead, Michelle.
I guess my question would be, we have, like, I use Zoom, okay, and I know that Zoom really stepped up to allow people to meet and things like that. So my first question would be, what would be different from that? Because that's a very inexpensive platform that so many people have access to. Now, on the other side of that is that when we see, when we look at a platform like Zoom, okay, and if that's the competitor, then what is it about Zoom that can be improved upon? They went through all of the security issues and what are the aspects that they're not offering that you could offer. You would have to, I think, without, just off the top of my head, right? So I think that you would have to maybe go with some kind of boutique type deal. So very specific to the teachers, mentors, whatever. But if to be profitable versus those big guys, you've got to have a really great need behind it, and that it's got to be a solution to some problem they have that they're willing to pay money for. So
I think that's the whole lesson in this whole pandemic, is that we have to look at what is the problem of the people and how do we give them a solution.
Absolutely.
How do you pivot right there? Now, fortunately, I have a career in nuclear medicine, so I have income. Fortunately, as a medical worker, this hasn't affected my stream of income. Right. But my personal goal is, even though I love my patient, I love working with my patients, my personal goal is to become that speaker, to become that entrepreneur running those women's retreats where that's full time. That's my dream. That's my shift. And to get out of the 9 to 5 on call every night kind of thing. Mm-hmm. So, I think it's a learning process along the way. She said, thank you for sharing. If someone wants to get in touch with you and get advice or do maybe a discovery call to talk about your coaching sessions, what's the best way for them to do that?
Yeah, so you guys feel free. You can email me, Michelle@decisiveminds.com. Don't forget, Michelle has 1 L, Michele. But you know what? I don't mind. You just go get on my calendar. You can go to decisiveminds.com/connect. That'll take you straight in. It's kind of booked up a little bit right now, but feel free. If you can find a spot, I would love to talk to you. It gives you a little 30-minute time for us to have a conversation. So.
Okay, decisiveminds.com. Is this correct, what I've got on the screen?
Yep, that's correct. /connect.
Okay, and you know your stuff. I'm going to go back to these pictures because I want you guys to know she knows her stuff. Here she is. She's been with HuffPost. She's been, look at this, Business Today, Small Business Today. She was in with the world's top 50 innovative companies. Here she is at Harvard. And look, here she is with Suzanne Summers. Tell us about that.
That was great. I actually met Suzanne at Harvard. She was at that same
I didn't have it on the
that I was at. And oh my God, it was so much. Yeah, I was going to say, you're not showing on the screen there. It was just fantastic. She was a hoot. We had a great time. So I had a few minutes to ask her some questions, and it was great. Look at that.
Wow. Was this before you had your own talk show or after?
Yeah, that was before.
Mm-hmm. So did you just fall in love with that whole ideal and go get your own show after that?
Yeah, actually, what happened with that was I was speaking at an event in California, and a producer came to me and said, hey, I'm looking for someone to do a business show about, and you were fantastic on stage, and so would you like to talk? And so that kind of started the conversation. We shot a 12-month reality show with her for her network, and production went crazy, and so we ended up buying back all the rights to that and starting the show in Houston. So
awesome. Yeah. I'm hoping I was supposed to be on that show. I'm gonna have to read.
Yeah, we're not gonna
everything up.
We'll start shooting again probably in January. So we'll, it kind of got shut down with the whole COVID thing, but it'll come back. I can't wait. I love it. I'm like you though. I started like real early. I think I did my first radio show back in 2011. I did that for a couple of years. I've got a great YouTube channel. It's got hundreds of videos on it. I've got a couple of videos. I think I've got one video. It's got like 35,000 views on it. So lots of, I understood the value of someone hearing your voice and seeing your face. Okay. Right. So when we want people to hire us, money exchanges hands based on relationship and trust, right? So there's one level of relationship when someone's reading your stuff. I have an amazing blog, guys. I have 1,000 blog posts on my blog right now. So you want business information, you can find it at decisiveminds.com on the blog. However, the next level of relationship is that they hear your voice. So I started doing radio first because I was not about to put my face on anything. The introvert in me would not let me do it. And so that took me a little while. And then I started doing video because I finally got to the point where I was like, okay, I don't care anymore. I'm just going to do it. Right. And then I started video, and then I started, getting on stages and all of that kind of all came together. And so when we want someone to pay us or hire us, when they see us on things like this, right? You guys can get a real feel for who I am. This is who I am every day, all day long, right?
Right.
Exactly. So, so it's, I just kind of, I'm that person who pushes myself, and when I was, 30 or 25, so no, it's probably 28 or 30. I went to a bar dancing with a girlfriend one night, and we saw this thing that said, "You want to take dance lessons?" And before I knew it, I was a competitive country western dancer. As an introvert, that is the extreme, people. That's the extreme. So I actually hold 2 national titles as a country western dancer. Yeah, I did. I took 3rd place at Worlds one year, so I have a bronze at Worlds for dancing. But so fun. When you're scared, you say yes and you jump. Oh, I have another great story on that. So the first time, I said I was not going to speak, right? And I get a call one day from a woman who is the head of the E-Women chapter in Houston. And she says, this is 2011, okay, early 2011. My dad's just now told me that my business is not worth anything. And she says, "Michelle, I have been watching you. You don't know me, but I was wondering if you would come speak at my luncheon." And I didn't think, I just said yes, because I know me, right? If I say yes, I'm going to go to the ends of the earth to make it happen. As scared as I was, I said yes. And then she says, "Look, you wrote a book last year. Why don't you come talk about your book?" And so I didn't like my book. And I said, "Well, did you hear about my new book that's coming out?" And she said, "No." I said, "Yeah, it's going to be about social media. It's called Take Action, Get Profits, 5 Steps to Massive Online Success." She said, "That sounds great. Come talk about that." And so I hung up the phone. And I thought, I need to write that book because I made it up on the spot. So I did. I wrote that book the next weekend because I had like 3 weeks before the luncheon. So the next weekend, I spent all weekend. I wrote the book. I couldn't get it printed in time. So I gave them all digital copies if they would. I sold some $97 one-day event or something, my very first speaking engagement, and like 20 women handed me a check. And so I called my coach when I got back in the car, and I'm like, "Okay, you were right, and I can do this." So yeah, yes, just say yes and jump. That's kind of my motto.
I love it, and I've done similar things too, where you put it out there, thinking, nobody's going to mess with you, and then all of a sudden you're in the corner. You got to,
right.
Or your whole branding, your whole integrity, everything goes down the drain if you don't produce, right?
That's right.
Cool. I want to play this little clip real quick. I want to see what this is about. Let's listen to this. Okay. If it'll play. Hopefully it's going to play.
Have you ever said, "I got to make more money"?
Or maybe you said, "I've got to get control of my life."
How about, "I got to build this business"?
No. I got to get a better job.
I just got to get some help. We get it. I'm Michelle Muir, business strategist.
And I'm Bellamy Deshawn, mindset strategist. Look, are the I gottas in your life driving you nuts? What if it didn't have to be that hard?
Join us on our show, Mind Your Own Business, where we will show you how to go from gotta to done.
Awesome. I love it. I love that. I love it. So where do we how do we tune into that show?
It's airing on TV 21 in Houston, which is a local channel. And the episodes will be coming up on our website. They just aren't ready to go on the site yet. So you'll be able to catch it if you're not in Houston. You'll be able to catch it on Mind Your Own TV, mindyourownbusiness.tv. So
Or Mind Your Own Business
.tv.
And when does that? Are they now? They can go there now and find episodes, or no?
No, so the episodes are not up on there. They'll come back when we go back into the studio in January. So
Okay, coming in January. I'm gonna put that. That sounds fun. Okay, awesome. I just wanted to have that out there for the audience because they seem to be really drawn to you, especially Jana. By the way, she said you're going to see her on your calendar. I believe that's what she said when she said, I will be there. I'm pretty sure she's going to connect with you there. So, yeah, that's great. Awesome. That's what we're here to do. We're connecting people. Here, Sam says, call your bluff. When we were talking about put it out there and then you have to go back and actually do the work, right?
That's right.
Knows me very well about me. And I tend to put put the horse before the apple cart kind of thing, or however that goes. I do that all the time.
Yeah.
All right. Then Robert says, but then you're left still cleaning up your mess too. All right. Well, thank you so much. This has been really fun. My family's in Lake Charles. My mom, her house got damaged pretty bad. Their air conditioner is still out. My son displaced for a couple of weeks, but he's back now in his place. But I lived there for 11 years. So my heart goes out to all my friends and family. But we're going to have to get in touch and hang out and have lunch. And I'm going to have to get on your calendar as well, because I think you could really light a fire under my behind.
I'd love it. I would love
time management. Mine's just, it's not a lack of want with me. It's a lack of time because I have 2 careers going, and I just need to learn how to better use that time I do have. So you're going to be hearing from me as well.
Good deal. I'll be glad to do that.
You have just been an incredible guest. We just love you. You're just so full of life and spirit and fun and spunk and knowledge and wisdom. It's just a blessing to have had you here. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I'm so glad. It's so nice to meet all of you. I love seeing all the comments on there. So
absolutely. So you guys go get in touch with her. It's in the comments where she said decisiveminds.com/connect. You can go to her website, decisiveminds.com, I believe also. Yes. So that's how you can reach her. All right, Michelle, thank you so much, honey. We'll talk to you later.
Bye-bye.
All right, you guys. So that was Michelle Muir. It was a fun guest, but she's been through a lot. So you can learn a lot from her if you choose to go connect with her. I think it'd be awesome. Get to know her. I'm going to go get like a sponge, suck as much out of her as I can. Because that's what we do, right? We're here for each other, to lift each other up and learn from each other. You guys, what can you do today to get out there and help somebody else? Really think about it. What story do you have in you that you can become transparent with and get out there and find the courage to share it so that you know you're helping someone else? Look, there's always somebody around you that has it worse. I know we have our bad days. I know we have our adversity and our challenges, and we get down on ourselves, or we're ashamed of some decisions we've made. But just look around. There are people that have it so much worse. There are people that are still in their bad decision. At least you've come through yours. And what you need to realize is, now that you've come through it, you're an authority on it. You are on authority. If you've had to file bankruptcy in your life, you are now an authority on it, and you can go help people and show them ways that they don't have to go through that channel you had to go through. Teach them a better way. If you've been through domestic abuse or domestic violence, now you're an authority. You've lived and survived it. Go back and teach these other people what they can do to either not fall into that relationship, or if they find themselves there, how to find the strength and the courage to get out of it. So just think about the knowledge you have inside of you. What story do you have that you can share with someone as an authority to help ease some suffering out there? I invite you to be that one and step up and share. This is the Dare to Share with Mistie Layne show. If you want to be a guest, it's real simple. Just email me the word guest to mistielayne@mistielayne.com. We're booked until towards the end of January, but I promise you we're going to get you on. We need to hear your stories. They're important. Transparency is going to change the world. I know it and I believe it. Get on over to my Facebook page and join the group, #BeThatOne, so we can all start learning and growing from each other and sharing our stories. This is it for tonight, you guys. Thank you for joining us. I'm here every Tuesday and Thursday at 6 p.m. streaming live off of e360tv.com. I'm glad to have you here, and I hope to see you next Tuesday. Love you guys. Bye-bye.